Did you know that Adolf Hitler, the infamous dictator, initially had dreams of becoming an artist? As a young man, Hitler was deeply fascinated by art. He was passionate about painting, sketching, and architectural design. He admired the great masters of the Renaissance and aspired to follow in their footsteps. In fact, he was so determined to pursue his passion that he applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts not once, but twice. Unfortunately, both times his application was rejected. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? This rejection was more than just a personal setback. It played a significant role in shaping the future of a man who would later be known as one of history's most notorious dictators. It's a stark reminder of how our dreams and ambitions, when thwarted, can sometimes take us down a path we never intended to tread. So, the man who led the world into chaos once dreamt of creating beautiful pieces of art. Imagine a dictator who is afraid of cats. Yes, you heard it right. Adolf Hitler, despite his terrifying reputation, had a peculiar fear of our feline friends. This fear, known as ailurophobia, was so intense that Hitler would literally leap up from his chair if a feline companion dared to venture into his vicinity. Now, this doesn't mean Hitler was a complete animal hater. On the contrary, he was well known for his fondness of German shepherds. Most notably, his beloved dog, Blondie, who was often by his side. Blondie was not just a pet for Hitler, but a trusted companion, offering a stark contrast to his irrational fear of cats. This curious phobia adds another layer of complexity to this infamous historical figure. It's a reminder that even those who wield immense power can have their own peculiar fears and phobias. So, the dictator had his own share of phobias, including an unusual fear of feline friends. Did you know that Hitler was a vegetarian and an advocate for animal rights? This might come as a surprise to many of you, considering his infamous reputation. You might wonder, why would a man who orchestrated such immense human suffering have such a soft spot for animals? Well, Hitler's vegetarianism was primarily driven by his empathy for animals. He couldn't bear the thought of animals being slaughtered for food. Not only this, Hitler also believed that a plant-based diet could enhance his health and vitality. He was convinced that meat consumption could lead to various health issues, and thus he decided to stick to a vegetarian lifestyle. His meals mainly consisted of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes. He even tried to persuade those around him to adopt a vegetarian diet, often discussing the health benefits of such a lifestyle. However, it's ironic that a man who showed such empathy for animals was responsible for so much human suffering. Did you know Hitler's nephew, William Patrick Hitler, moved to the USA and had a family there? Picture this. The year is 1944 and the world is at war. Yet in the midst of all this, William Patrick Hitler, the nephew of Adolf Hitler, ventures across the Atlantic and settles in the United States. A bold move indeed. Born to Adolf's half-brother, Alois Hitler Jr., and his Irish wife, Bridget Dowling, William leads a life that is a far cry from his infamous uncles. He swaps the tumultuous politics of Europe for the hustle and bustle of New York City. He even goes on to enlist in the U.S. Navy during World War II, serving his new home country against the Axis powers, which ironically includes Nazi Germany. After the war, William settles down in Long Island. He marries, has 4 sons, and lives a life far removed from his notorious lineage. Yes, descendants of Hitler do exist, living a quiet life in the United States. Hitler, like many of us, had a fear of dentists. Now this might seem like a peculiarly humanizing detail for one of history's most notorious figures, but it's true. Adolf Hitler was absolutely terrified of dental visits. Hitler's dental health was, to put it mildly, a mess. Chronic tooth decay, gum infections, and a slew of other oral health problems plagued him. Despite his position of power, he was not immune to the common man's dental woes. However, his fear of dentists surpassed the usual anxiety most of us feel. It was an intense phobia, a dread that required his personal dentist to administer tranquilizers regularly to perform even the simplest procedures. Dr. Hugo Blaschke was the unfortunate soul tasked with maintaining the Führer's oral health. He had to navigate the precarious task of treating a patient who was petrified of his instruments, all while aware that a wrong move could have dire consequences. Hitler's fear was so pronounced that he often required anesthetics for even minor procedures that wouldn't typically require them. This phobia wasn't just a quirk, It became symbolic of Hitler's overall health and state of mind during his reign. As his dental health deteriorated, so did his mental and physical health. The Führer, who was once a picture of virility and strength, became increasingly paranoid, erratic, and physically frail. His fear of dentists was a metaphor for his diminishing control, his crumbling facade of invincibility. It was a stark reminder that despite the power he wielded, he was still human, with human fears and vulnerabilities. It underscored the irony of a man who could command armies, dictate the fate of nations, and instill fear in millions, but was himself terrified of the dentist's chair. So the man who instilled fear in millions was himself terrified of the dentist's chair. A sobering reminder that fear, in its many forms, is a universal human experience, even for those who seem to hold the reins of power. We've uncovered some surprising and lesser-known facts about Adolf Hitler today. Let's take a moment to revisit these intriguing details to cement our understanding. Our journey started with the young Hitler, who harbored dreams of becoming an artist, a passion that was not shared by his father, leading to a tumultuous relationship. Despite his later infamy, it's interesting to ponder how different history might have been had he pursued this path. Moving on, we delved into Hitler's unusual fear of cats. This ailurophobia, a stark contrast to his love for his German shepherds, added an intriguing facet to his personality. It's a reminder of how phobias, irrational as they may be, are not exclusive to any particular type of individual. Next, we explored Hitler's vegetarianism, a lifestyle choice driven by his love for animals and abhorrence of animal cruelty. This is a surprising fact, considering the human atrocities associated with his regime. It's a stark reminder of the dichotomy that can exist within a single individual. We then learned about Hitler's nephew, who made the unexpected choice to move to the United States in the mid-30s. Despite carrying the burden of a notorious surname, he managed to carve out a quiet life, away from the shadow of his infamous uncle. Finally, we discovered Hitler's fear of dentists, a common phobia, yet somehow surprising when associated with a figure known for his ruthlessness. It's a small detail, yet it humanizes him in an unexpected way. These facts provide a glimpse into the personal life of one of history's most notorious figures, reminding us that history is often more complex than it appears. It's a testament to the fact that individuals, even those as infamous as Hitler, are multifaceted and cannot be easily categorized. Remember, in the pursuit of knowledge, it's essential to dig deeper and look beyond the surface.